yesterday. It's finally done. I finished on May 8th at like 11:45 at night. Really down to the wire, but it's done. Still have all the edits to the color to make, but I figured it would be easier to just color everything exactly the same all the way through and then make all the changes at once. There are a couple things that I knew were fixes I have to make that I made along the way anyway, but in general, like, I want to be able to figure out what those changes are and then make them consistently throughout. So things like some of the floors or tabletops are too saturated. It's mainly like saturation issues with certain colors, like browns, greens, and purples tend to be the big offenders. So got to do all that, but they're all colored at least. So worst case, it's done. And thank goodness I worked on separate layers, because it makes this so much easier. If I had been like digitally painting these or flattening them down onto a single layer, I would be in trouble. Yeah, so all that's left is I have to ink the back cover, ink the flaps that go on the jacket. I have to ink the title page. And then I've talked a bit about like the case. So I just got back from getting these printed. So here we go. Here's the title page. And these are blown up 125%, so they'll be shrunken back down when I go to color them. Flaps, I think this is the front cover flap and the back cover flap. This is just like little artwork that'll get placed around like that body copy of the description of the book and my author bio. I broke them up like this just so that I could fit it all on one sheet. Here's the back cover. Had to make some adjustments to the feet and do a little bit of tweaking. His arm was like super wonky and I didn't notice it until the designer pointed it out. She was like, his hand looks weird. So I fixed that. Can ink that. And again, those are going to be, there's no like background because they're going to be placed around the back of the book description, things like that. And then, I don't know, I was literally staring at this for like 20 minutes before I printed it out. This is what we had decided for the case. So this would be under the jacket of the book. This was approved. I don't know, this morning I was looking at it and I feel like it's all over the place a little bit. Like for the most part, like this part, the back cover to me just doesn't totally work. It's meant to look like, at first I thought it was like he's drawing on the whiteboard. We had talked back and forth about like having the case cover be like Jay's sketchbook and have all these doodles all over it, because you see some of these doodles like throughout the story. So this is like represented in the story, but something about it just does not feel cohesive to me, and I don't know what it is. I think, yeah, like all of this seems to, like, now that I'm looking at it in reverse on my camera, like this seems like it kind of meshes, but this doesn't. These seem like random drawings. I don't know. I'm feeling very conflicted about this, and I don't even think I'm gonna ink this. I was texting with my editor, Andrew, telling him that I'm just not feeling this, and I think I would rather just print the main cover and main back cover on the case than make something like this that I don't feel like is working. I really want to like trust my gut here, and yeah, because to me, if they are whiteboard drawings, then none of those illustrations would be colored in. They would just be colored line art. But then in talking, like, they want to see variations where it is colored in, and I'm like, oh, but that doesn't like totally make sense to me, and I don't think that works. And so I don't know, I feel like if I felt like it was working, I would be off to the races with making the final art, and I'm just not. Something is making me hesitate, and so I don't want to put the effort into making it and be unhappy with it, even though it is only for the hardcover edition, and eventually the hardcover will hopefully be sold out and it probably won't ever be printed again. But I don't know, I want it to be right. It only comes out once. Like, it's okay to take the time to make it right, and if there isn't enough time to make it right, well, we have a great cover. My friend had pointed it out to me. She was like, you have a great cover for your book, so worst case, like, this is what gets printed on the case, and that's totally fine. And she's right, like, it is a great cover, and the back cover will be nice, and it's all gonna work out. But it's like, you know, we're in the home stretch and I'm running toward the finish line, and I'm not firing on all cylinders, and so I don't know that I'm thinking clearly or can even think of what could be a better direction to go in. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's totally fine and I'm just too tired to recognize that it's perfectly brilliant and I should just do it, but I don't know. Something deep down is telling me not to do it. So I feel like some of the best advice as an author is just to go with your gut, because it's usually the best indicator of whatever direction you're moving in. So I have this new brush that I'm gonna ink everything with. I'm excited. It was kind of a random purchase, but gotta get those tax deductions somehow. So yeah, I have a new brush to ink with. I haven't inked it. It is so weird. So I did all the colors in 35 days, which is bananas. And I don't want to I don't know, send the wrong message that like you should all do it in 35 days or less. Like, it was a crazy marathon to get it all done, and the only way that it worked was because of having a huge team of coloring assistants helping me do all the flatting. Never in a million years could I have done it all on my own that quickly, or with just one or two assistants. Like, it really took everybody working on a little bit, so that each week I was getting like 30 pages completed. There are some things I would do differently, but in general, like, I think it's a good way going forward, even if I have more time for the coloring, to work with a big team and just like, I don't know, have everything done as quickly as possible. And yeah, I think in general it was a good way to go, but man, working at that pace was crazy. And the inking and penciling, somebody was just asking, yesterday was CCS's graduation, which was all online, but then we had a meetup in the park so that the graduates could get their diplomas, and we had box lunches and things like that. And so one of my flatters was there, and my coworker, and they were asking me about where I was at and the timeline of everything, and I was explaining it to them. And yeah, it's just been 5 months of insanity, and I don't know that I want to work this way again, or if I do, I would just do it a little differently. I don't know. Definitely didn't plan for it to be such a crazy time, but also, like, it had to get done, and I don't know, it was stressful, but I also had a lot of fun, especially like when I was drawing it and inking it. I just wish I could have done it a little slower, especially since I've been coloring it and zooming in, and I'm like, oh gosh, these faces look crazy, but then I have to remind myself that I'm zoomed in like 200% in Photoshop, and this thing is gonna be printed like this big, and it looks fine when it's zoomed out. And but you can get sort of OCD about seeing the like pixel makeup of a drawing and being like, I need to pixel correct like his jawline, and it's like, no, it looks fine. It looks fine. So yeah, I'm just trying to keep going till it's all done, and yeah, hopefully my next vlog will maybe be like, I'm done, it's over, I'm gonna go sleep. I did talk to my friend about going on a hike to sort of celebrate the end of everything, and finish climbing one metaphorical mountain and go climb a literal mountain. So that should be fun. All right, I better go and ink this stuff. Almost done.